Man, it's a mission getting all this stuff ready for tomorrow. It really is. We had a really good day yesterday. I'm going to run through all that shortly. And today, it's doable. It's still doable. The cards are still on the table. We might just pull this off. And what I mean is just leaving on time, which is now going to be early tomorrow morning. It's crazy. Anyway, give me a second to get set up. And then we can see who's in the workshop. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. Right, who have we got? Now, the internet here has been absolutely atrocious. Practically no internet on any format, whether it's the rural broadband or whether it's data on your phone or whether it's the old school VDSL line that comes down the old knackered copper wires. It was just pretty much defunct. About 3 days ago, it seemed to come back to life. So, okay. So, who knows what's going to happen during the live stream? It seems to have been pretty stable the last couple of days, but I just don't know. If I suddenly disappear, that's probably why. We have got Mr. Rawle. Simon, good morning. Welcome back to the workshop, sir. Simon says, morning, Andy and crew. Jacob Vaughan, waiting for pie and Dart brand. Dart? Well, it's a Pall Mall. There you go, look. Pall Mall cigarettes. Or Pall Mall, as we call them in England. Or I used to do, yeah. Mike Buzansky. Oh, yeah, Mike Buzansky, good morning, all. Good morning, Mike. Hope you're settling in well. Virginia Governor, good evening, Andy and mates. How are you all doing, Andy? Watching from South Africa. I'm all right. I'm hanging in there. There's been some very, very long days. I was up in Auckland last week, and you know, I had visits to various motorcycle shops during the day, and on an evening, as you'll see, there's a video went out. I edited 2 videos while I was away on the evenings, which was, you know, it just pushes it to about midnight, sometimes just beyond midnight. So I'm burning the candle at both ends, because up early in the morning and then getting some admin work done before I get out the door to go and do my visit. Yeah, it's pretty full on, to be honest. And I am actually very much looking forward to getting in the little chimney and getting those wheels rolling, to be perfectly honest. Mrs. Mechanic says, oh, you're going to go on holiday for 3 weeks. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to be answering my work phone. I know that. That's pretty, and emails and stuff. So that dramatically helps. But is it a holiday? We can make it a holiday. But it's a mission as well. There's definitely a mission on the cards. Mr. Rush. Good morning, Sheldon. Welcome back, sir. Morning, Mrs. Mechanic, Andy, Marmite, and crew. Good morning to you too. Richard Perry. Morning, Andy and crew. Big thumbs up, GB. Cheers, matey. Daz, 323323. Morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, Daz. Welcome back into the workshop. Killswitch BB. Hi, Andy and crew. Good morning, Killswitch BB. Great to have you back, matey. MF50B. Morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, MF. That'll do, won't it? Yeah, I am pretty burnt out, in all honesty. I'm going to try and bumble through this live stream. As regards work that I still have to do today, I mean, if you'd looked to see what we had still to do yesterday morning, you would have just had a laugh. You'd be saying, there's no way you're going to get all that done. We did, and I'm going to show you that shortly. But what's left to do is still got the wiring on the trailer to do. That's today's job. And equally as important is, and we've been given some very cool, old school aviation pilot and navigator headsets. They're on the bench just here. Now, the headsets themselves, the speakers and the microphones, they don't work. And that doesn't matter. That was part of the brief when I said, look, budget's getting a bit thin. They don't need to work. I just need the framing to use as a starting point to then fit the center equipment too. So we've got the centers working. We've decided to pair them in pairs rather than pair all 4 together. And the reason for that is whenever you turn the center unit off, you have to then repair it when you turn it back on again, which is really annoying when you're doing the kind of filming that we are. But I understand why it's the way it is for normal use. So pairing 4 together and going through that pretty complicated process, to be perfectly honest, was just like, this isn't going to happen. We're going to spend half our time getting frustrated trying to get these things to work. Whereas pairing just 2 together, dead easy. So basically, whichever 2 we're going to use at the start, when we've turned them on, we'll just pair them together. Mrs. Mechanic's got one in a helmet that's already installed. She did that with Ben. And obviously pair it to the headset that they're wearing in the little Jeep. When Mrs. Mechanic's out, not riding the bike, she'll have the second headset. So again, we can continue to film and record the audio. Hopefully of pretty good quality. That's the plan. Went to JB Hi-Fi at some point one evening last week. Picked up a couple of solid state hard drives, 1 terabyte. The guys did me a really good deal on those. So thanks JB Hi-Fi. I'll give you a shout out. I promised you that. They've always seen me right, actually, JB Hi-Fi. They're always really good at doing deals. So really, really helped. And cost of solid state hard drives has come down quite a lot in the last couple of years. So that's definitely helped as well. Vijayant, if I was closer to you, I would love to give you a hand getting done. Cheers, Vijayant. I mean, having Ben coming down, that massively helped. Mrs. Mechanic's been a trooper. She's been just getting on with any task that I've given her. She's just got on with it. The one problem that I find, and it's just a trait that I have, and it's just the way it is, and sometimes I'm all right, sometimes I'm not. But when I'm under pressure, and I have been under a lot of pressure the last few weeks, and I'm very focused on getting a job done, and you try to do the best to your abilities, and you focus, you don't make mistakes, and then I have to show Mrs. Mechanic. She has to stop because she doesn't know what she's doing. So I have to down tools, find her a tool or explain to her what she needs to do, and then try and get back onto my job and start from where I left off and not make mistakes. And I'm sure some of you can understand, you've probably been in the same situation. When it's time after time after time during the day, it gets a bit frustrating and you get a little bit short with each other. And that definitely has been happening in the last sort of few workshop sessions, to be perfectly honest. We had a little talk about it yesterday, and I made my apologies. And I do apologize, genuinely. I don't mean to be sharp with anybody. I'm not normally that way. I'm normally pretty calm and collected. But, when you're under the pump and you just need to crack on because you've got 10 or 11 hours in the workshop and you've got a long list of stuff to do. And when things do go wrong, and they do go wrong, I've made some mistakes. There's no doubt. There's a million variables realistically on the various builds that we've done for this trip. You're bound to make mistakes. It's how you deal with them, and you just go, you know what, just redo it. Just make that call, redo it, or fix it, one or the other. Don't loiter on it. And it's been quite a good learning curve for all of us, to be honest. It's been, the amount of fabrication has just been, it's been pretty high, in all honesty. We were talking about it yesterday, that there's probably more hours gone into making the pod than the actual trailer itself, which, I never planned that. The pod should have been a couple of days, maybe 3 days build, job done, and then you could focus on the trailer. In reality, it's been quite the opposite. The trailer wasn't that hard to do, not that many components, not that many pieces of metal to make up, whereas the pod, yeah, just skinning the pod with the aluminium, and it's all done. We've got it finished yesterday. I'm going to show you in a minute. That was probably 2 days work, in all honesty, because Ben was helping as well for an afternoon doing that. We used less alloy than originally planned. I've got a spare sheet, which is nice. But yeah, we could have done it quicker. The alloy is held on with M6 bolts, and there's hundreds and hundreds of them. And the reason why I chose that is I already had a box, a very large box, M6 cap heads, stainless steel. So, well, we use those. Plus, pot rivets in an off-road environment, they come loose. They don't last for long. They soon start to work loose, and the panel will start to vibrate. If it's a bolt, you can replace the bolt, tap it out the next size, do whatever you need to do. So that's another reason why I went down that route. Plus, at some point, we may want to be taking those panels off easily and quickly, because a future job for that pod is Mrs. Mechanic wants to use it for her craft shows, basically transport some stuff around, like a little trailer, which is what it is. So we need to fully seal it. It's not fully sealed. The panels have just been put on dry. There's no sealant behind them. There are air gaps. It doesn't matter for our job. The water's going to get in anyway. We're going to be going through rivers. The water's going to get in. So at least it can get back out again, right? And then it'll dry out. That's the plan. But yes, it's been pretty arduous. Behind the scenes has been pretty full on. And you might sense a bit of that when I'm doing the filming on the videos, that I am a little bit pushed and maybe a little bit grumpy. And if, you know, all I can do is apologize. It's just reality. It's the way it is, you know. The videos of building up the trailer and doing all the fabrication work, they're not normal videos. They're not ones that really are planned. It's more of a fly on the wall kind of thing, this where you join us on that journey of problems and getting stressed out and how to fix stuff. And I think they've worked out pretty well for what they are, but they're not presented really in the same way as I would normally present a video. Not that's from my perception anyway. If you give me some feedback, let me know. Where do we get to? Roger Heaps, there he is. Good morning, Andy and crew. Birthday drinks last night. Happy birthday. Belated birthday, Roger. Good man. Yes, you've got to have the odd one, right? Simon, I must say I'm very generous. You are, Simon. There is no way me and my missus will ever be able to work together like that. Well done. Well done to you too. It's hard though. It is. Do you mean jealous? I think you mean jealous. I'm very jealous. Not. I think you've had auto spell there. But you are also generous. I'll give you that. Yeah, it is. She's amazing. She puts up with me really, really well. In all honesty, she really does. Anyway, hang on. We'll finish the cigarette and then we'll have a little wander around the workshop because I've got lots of stuff to show you. Oh, we've got a new toy in the workshop as well, which is something I've made the call to purchase so I could finish a job reasonably tight. The aluminium that we were supplied, the sheet, it's not standard run-of-the-mill alley. I don't know what spec it is. I remember telling the guy from the place in Hamilton what we needed and what we're going to use it for. And he said, this is the stuff that you want. And I said, well, the first day the trailer's going to be in use, it's going to be taken down 90 Mile Beach. So really salty air. It's very misty down there usually most of the time. Very salty air, probably going to get sprayed in seawater and stuff. And he said, yeah, this is the stuff that you need. And it seems to be quite a bit harder than normal aluminium sheet. When you cut it with a slit disc, it sort of chips away. It's not I know Ali does that anyway, a little bit, but this is quite chippy. It's quite hard metal, and it's definitely got a surface on it. It's very, very shiny. And you'll see on the rear door, I think when we had the alloy on a pallet in the garden, I think the neighbour's cats come in and decided to claim the alloy, basically by urinating all over it, and there's some stains on it. I don't think you get that on normal aluminium, and it would polish off. We can't get it off. It seems to be embedded in the coating of the aluminium. So we've just left it. We're going to put some stickers on anyway. Kill switch. Happy birthday, Roger. Ching. Simon, lol. Damn autocorrect. It's all right, mate. You threw me off the scent a bit there. Sometimes it's difficult to read them out when you've got one of the most important words is the wrong word. So forgive me. It's the way it is. Right. Workshop time. Quick swig of the coffee and we'll be off. Hang on a second. Oh. Keep calm. I have to keep calm today. I think it's going to be very easy for me to get a little bit riled up because, you know, tick, 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 tick. Tomorrow morning, hopefully 7 a.m, maybe earlier, boom, we're gone. Okay, turning around. 3, 2, 1, boom. Right. Yes, the workshop is a mess. It's a real mess. Where do we start? Okay, these are the headsets. Look at these. The very, very cool retro stuff with all the metal bits for the mic and everything. The mics, and this particular one, the mic isn't, I mean, we're not using the mic, but I might be able to fit the center microphone inside there, which will be very cool if I can. And that just clips into the little boom. That's really easy. If not, it'll just get Velcroed on the front, you know, it won't be a problem. Yeah, so we've got two of those. All the existing wiring will get snipped off and removed. The center speakers will go inside the headsets. We got some new earpiece spongy things. These were crazy expensive. These were free, right? And then the guy says, oh, you know, they tend to get quite uncomfortable when they get old if you're wearing them for a long time. So I said, look, I am going to be wearing it for a long time in the car. Let's get a couple of new sets of ear sealy things and wait for it. Right? He said, oh, they're about $40 each. Okay, no problem. I can go with $40 each. That's $80. I can probably afford that. And they came to ring it through the till, $150. $150. And I didn't, yeah, I didn't want to back down because, you know, the guy had been so generous at giving us the headsets. And I mean, I was happy to pay a bit for the headsets. So you know what? Go with it. It's all right. So headsets in stock, collected, just the center stuff fitting. And this is the center gear we got. I don't think I've shown you this yet. They're not in the boxes anymore. But we've got 4 of the 10C Evos. And these were donated to us for the trip, which was absolutely brilliant. And that was from White's Power Sports, who are the Senate importers here in New Zealand. And you've got the 2 little speakers that you put inside. So they're going to fit really easily inside the headset there. And then it comes with a boom. So whether I just zip tie that onto the casing or whether I think they come with a separate mic somewhere as well. There's like a little Velcro mic that you can use instead of the boom, which is what Mrs. Mechanic used in her helmet. The good news is, because we got 4 units and we're only using 3 sets of headphones, 3 sets of speakers. Oh, that's magnetic. Of course it is. It's a speaker. And you know, we've got 1 full spare set. So we've got spare mics and we've got spare speakers. So that's really, really cool, just in case we get any problems. But I think we'll find that the audio will be much better. Mrs. Mechanic's going to be wearing a full face helmet, so there's a lot less wind noise. And of course, I'm in the Jeep, so there won't be any wind noise. I'll have the aircon on, obviously. And Mrs. Mechanic managed to download and print off the full user guide for these pieces of kit. So that's really good. The only downside is, so I'm told, we haven't tried it yet, when you put them on charge, they no longer record. You can't use them while they're on charge. 1.5 hour runtime, approximately 2.5 hours charge time. That's why we had to get 4. So we've got 2 pairs so we can swap them over. But even then, we're still going to be waiting for units to charge up before we can carry on. Or maybe we're doing part of the run that doesn't need to be filmed. You know what I mean? Or we'll just use the GoPro or something. We'll use an alternative. So we'll work it out. But we've got some amazing kit now. All I have to do is install it on the headsets. But that has to be after the trailer. The trailer's got to be done first. I need the wiring on the trailer. Okay, where are we going to go next? Let's go to the pod. Look at this. We got the tent put on last night. That was the last job. I know you're going to laugh at all the bolts. Look at that. And it's silver, so it's not too cool on camera, but, you know, I'll have a little wander around. It's reasonably heavy. There you go. You've seen bits of it in videos, maybe. I don't know. Have you? I think you have. I don't know if you've seen the paneling or not. Anyway, the inside. So we've got, obviously, a side opening rear door. Look at that. I'll get Torchy on the job for you. There you go. How's that? You could live in there. Hello, hello, hello. It's quite echoey. But yeah, I managed to get the wood around the sides yesterday. I thought that was pretty critical because we're going to be ratchet strapping various boxes and stuff in there. And I didn't want the boxes to be resting directly against the side of the trailer. I wanted to have, you know, a bit in there. Plus, as Mrs. Mechanic would say, it gives us some pocketses down the side to put bits and pieces in as well. Obviously, everything that goes in here has to be waterproof, you know, or not affected by water. So all our clothing and stuff will be inside the Jeep. Plenty of room in the Jeep for that. But yeah, I think it came out pretty well, actually. Pretty well indeed. I mean, there's some little gaps. I know, little gaps. But that's a good segue, Andy. Good job. So these bits here, I absolutely could not fold this stuff. It was really tough. You know, when you're doing the full length down there, that's 1.3 meters. I couldn't fold it. I just could not fold it. I mean, I was using all sorts of stuff and I just couldn't get it. It wasn't working. So I bought one of these. I did. Look at that. Now, I know it's only 600 mil, okay, because this was like $485 on sale. And if I got one that would have done 1300 mil, it was like 2.5 grand. And it was massive. And I haven't got room for it, and I wasn't prepared to spend the money. But this was sort of in budget. And it's really good. You know, it's got plates that you can take out, so you can make boxes and stuff on it as well, which is really good. And you can lift it up, obviously, with the arm. You put your metal in. Now, it only does, it says in the manual, it only does 1 mil steel, but it'll probably do about, you know, maybe 2 mil standard alloy. The plates, the aluminium we used was 1.2 mil, and it bent that with ease, no problems at all. But bloody hell, what a piece of kit. You know, once you've got one, you think, man, I can use that for all sorts of stuff. I can make all my little boxes now really easily, you know. So very happy. Just down there, that's the handbrake to go back on the trailer. And over here, we've got the cables. Those are only the DR200 cables. You've seen those before. Oh, I did hear back. Actually, where else? Any more stuff to do while we walk around? Oh, those are the brackets for the number plates and the rear light to the trailer. So obviously they're still to fit. Mrs. Mechanic painted those. Yes, look, there's a run. Look at the run. That means the trailer will go faster, I think, if you have a run on it. But it'll do the trick. As long as they don't rust, that's all that matters. That was the only criteria. Now, we do have a parcel. You probably saw on the thumbnail. So we're going to get to that a bit later on, probably after the pie, maybe, or while the pie. In fact, we'll do it while the pie is warming up. Now, little monkey bike, just jumping around at the moment. Spot the difference. Look at that! It's an off-road bike. It's got the guards on and everything. And we did the seat. We managed to get the trimmers, the upholstery trimmers, automotive upholstery. Well, they do all sorts of stuff, actually. I took the seat in on the way up to Auckland on Tuesday, dropped it off and said, I have to have it back Friday. And they said, no problem. And what they've done is they've taken out most of the middle of the seat. They've also, I don't know how YouTube's going to cope with this. Yeah, there we are. That'll work. They've also thinned the seat down in this area. It was quite a wide seat. It still is pretty damn wide, to be honest. And personally, I'd have taken a bit more off it. But it is lower. It's about 1.5 inches lower. Mrs. Mechanic has done a test fit, and it's okay. She can touch the ground, tippy toe, both sides, stationary. And that's all she's going to get. I mean, I'm probably going to let the tire pressures down a bit as well, because these are actually really, really solid. So for the off-road stuff, we'll drop the tire pressures down. That might give her another 1/2 inch, you know, on the height of the seat height. But it's coming on really, really well. I mean, the bash plates, somebody mentioned to me, Andy, you're going to make a bash plate for the bike. It's bloody low. I mean, there's probably 6-inch clearance between the exhaust and the ground. And that header pipe there is very, very vulnerable, as are the bolts, you know, the studs and stuff. So have I got time? I haven't got time. I just don't have time. We're going to have to wing it. In hindsight, probably wish I'd got an aftermarket pipe that maybe came straight up rather than gone with the original. But it's all money at the end of the day. It's all money. There's plenty of aftermarket exhausts available for these things. So maybe we'll get one for next time round. She'll have to just manage. Fork guards. It's already got some fork guards already on it, so we're going to have to just leave those alone. I just don't have the time. I'd love to spend a week on it making all sorts of bespoke stuff, make a little rack for the back and things, but I just don't have the time. I just do not. I have to prioritize. Now, anything else? Anything else? Oh, Mrs. Mechanic did her first bend. Look at that. She found a bit of scrap, and she did a bend. Look at that. You can do a hell of an acute bend on there. Look at the angle on that. Pretty good. So she's going to probably make some stuff on there as well at some point. It's not going to live there, by the way. That's an important bench, and it's very much in the way of my toolbox. But it was about the only place I could bolt it down, you know, easily. Right, back to the bench. Boom. There we go. I think it would be prudent to get the pie in, don't you? Quick comments, catch up. Where are we at? Are we there? We're good. Yeah. Oh, yes, we've got a new calendar. Look, Jared gave me a new calendar. That is Miss January. No, it's not January anymore, but it would be. It's not fair not to put Miss January up, right? I mean, and no red tape needed, none at all. No. Which, you know, Plus side, easy to put the calendar up and show the picture. Downside, yeah, you know. Anyway, thanks, Jared. Appreciate that. Jared also gave me a box of goodies, you know, sprays and gloves and also and hand cleaner and stuff for the trip. Some little cleany wipe things. So we've got a basic kit. I'll be adding to that anyway off the shelf here. I've got all my tools to get on my work ute to go. They're my tools, by the way. So we've got a lot of loading up to do, probably this evening, to be perfectly honest. If not very early in the morning. I'd rather do it this evening while the workshop's still open and accessible. Where do we get to? The Giants. Very nice. Well done, Andy. The pod looks great. Thank you. It does. Again, as with any project, if I'd had a bit more time and wasn't as rushed as I was, and when I first started the project, I didn't feel rushed at all. I just sort of went at my own speed. And then as the deadline starts to loom, you think, holy crap, how the hell are we going to get all this done? So you just start pumping it out, right? You just get on with it. So there's a few little bits and pieces that I would have preferred to have tweaked or maybe redone. But it's good enough for the trip. It works. It will do the job. And that's the brief now. Will it work? Simon wanted a sheet bender for a long time. Me too. I mean, the last time I used one of those was at school. That's a long time ago. Yeah, it's cool. And it wasn't that expensive. And it's going to be really useful. Now then, Sheldon, they're handy. Mine full sheet. Yes, of course it is. Yours is an industrial size one that can bend the Titanic, if you wanted to put it in there. I can't compete, Sheldon. I can't. I haven't got the space for it. And in all honesty, the budget, really. I might keep me. I'm at when Unitech, where I used to work, closed down their metalwork shop. I should have really put in some bids for some of the gear that they had there. I've no idea where it all went, but missed out on some pretty good stuff, to be honest. Didn't have the money at the time, so that's the way it goes. JJ, morning, Andy and crew. Morning, JJ. Welcome back, matey. Banana Brooks. It's been a while. I don't dare hope those are Bonneville parts in the toolbox, do I? No, there's no Bonnie parts here, matey. I'm still waiting for the special tools to turn up. But I said to Alan, I said, look, you know, I've got this project coming up with the Honda Monkey Bike ride. I've got a lot to do. I says, then I'm in the South Island pretty much straight after that for another month. I said, I'm not going to get around to even looking back at your Bonnie again till May, probably June, because I've got an ROV to put back together as well. Top end rebuild on that. And just recover from the trip, because the last time when I rode back like January last year, you know, it takes it out of you. It's pretty full on, you know. So Bonnie, she just gets pushed in and out of the garage at the moment. That's as good as it gets. Roger, trailer got a waft. The trailer has got a waft. I took the trailer chassis down, just the absolute basic. It obviously with nothing on it. It was well underweight, didn't need brakes, didn't have a handbrake on it. The lighting on the trailer was a light board that was just bolted to the trailer, not held on with bungees. I actually made some little brackets and put it on. And the guy just looked at it and went, that'll do, and gave me the warrant label. Cheers, mate. Thank you. So that's done. It's registered, warranted. It's fully legal. That side of it's all sorted. He was very impressed with it, actually, which was quite nice. George Bonnie 90. Hello, everybody. Good morning, George. Welcome back to the Andy Mechanic Workshop. Jacob Vaughan. I rebuilt a Ninja 250 engine after a severe overheat. Runs great, but keeps dumping coolant out of the overflow thermostat to water pump now as well. Do you think the warped head from the alley head, right? I get this all the time. I'm sure Simon will chip in as well. When an alley head overheats, the aluminium goes soft. The casting goes soft. I recently purchased at a phenomenally reduced price from ISL Industrial, because it was the last one they had and they wanted to clear it out, and I'm very pleased that I was going to buy it. Was a hardness tester. It's one of the drop the ball bearing ones, you know. And On the ROVs especially, 9 times out of 10, when they've had an overheat situation, the head has gone too soft to be reused. You can get them rehardened. There's a company in Auckland that very expensive, but they will actually reheat treat the head and harden the back up, and then you can get it skimmed and all that kind of stuff. But there is a high probability if your little bike, if your little 250 has had a severe overheat, irrespective of you skimming the head, the aluminium's too soft and it'll continue to basically blow head gaskets. Worst case scenario, the head's cracked. Who knows? You have to get pressure tested. But yeah, I would take the head back off. Sorry, it's a big job. Take the head off, get it hardness tested, and go from there, basically. Otherwise, you're just going to be chasing your tail forever. And you can't ride the bike as it is. Simon, Jacob and Andy, has a video on how to test the head. That's right, do. I haven't got a video on hardness testing the head, though, because really nobody's got a hardness tester other than the engineering shops. And they charge a fortune to do it over here. That's one of the reasons why I bought mine. I only need to do basically about 7 hardness tests to pay for what I paid for the hardness tester. It's pretty good, isn't it? Couldn't say no to that. Now, I've done my hand in. Yesterday, I tweaked something inside my hand and it really hurts. So if you see me flinch, that's why. Jade Hedges, good morning from Nelson. Good morning, Jade. Welcome to the workshop. Jade says, if you get time, call in to Tasman Honda for a coffee. That sounds a good idea. We should do that. Not sure if we're going to Nelson. Mrs. Mechanic's in charge of the route. We didn't go to Nelson last time, so we might, but it all depends on the route. I know we're doing Rainbows. Rainbows is open. I saw the Facebook post. So we're definitely going to do Rainbows. So maybe that's going to get us heading south before we even get to Nelson. So maybe we'll call in on the way back up, depending on time. We'll see how things pan out. I'll keep you informed. And a mechanic, Facebook user. Oh, hang on. What's this? Oh, somebody posted. Oh, I've lost me. I've got a wheel of death now. Oh, cool. Thank you for that. Oh, sorry. I didn't post that. Mrs. Mechanics just posted that. So that is the link to the Facebook page, Just a Fish, for the trip. So there's loads of posts on there that Mrs. Mechanic's been doing behind the scenes as well. So if you want to click on that later on, or now if you want, click on it and then just, I don't know, come back and watch the rest of the live stream if you like. And you can donate through that, I believe. So it's a Give a Little page where you can donate towards the Alzheimer's Trust. And for all those that already have, I'm not going to give the long list, but you'll be given the credits at the end of the videos when they finally go out, when that's going to be. I think Mrs. Mechanic's going to do a post as well at some point. She's already thanked quite a few of the companies that have supported the venture. Yeah, things are coming together really well, and the support that we've had across New Zealand from various companies, whether it's a aviation place that repairs old planes and stuff, to tyre company in Invercargill, Max's Tyres, to the wheel company in Auckland, Tang, Forge, Inter-Islander, right? The ferry company. I booked the ferry and it was crazy money. We had to book it because the spaces were disappearing by the minute. So I booked it, nearly $1,300 for a return ticket for the little Jimny and the trailer and 2 people. And I'm like, oh, and a dog. Man, this is costing. You know, that was a bit of pain, was that, because I was expecting about 800. And I said to Mrs. Mechanic, I said, just give them a call and let them know it's for charity, will you? And she got an email back saying we're going to get a full refund. And the first thing we thought was, by them saying refund, we thought, we need the ticket. We need to do the trip, right? We need to get on the ferry. Can we still get on the ferry? Are you just giving us a refund because we've asked for a discount, you know? So anyway, she's rung them up and the tickets still stand and they are giving us a full refund. So Inter-Islander, which I think is Kiwi Rail, awesome. Again, thank you very much. Really, really helpful. You know, that money then goes back in the pot and helps pay for the fuel and stuff. I mean, beyond any doubt, whatever we get as donations will nowhere near cover the expense of everything that we've done to do what we're doing. And I never expected it to, and neither did Mrs. Mechanic. I was just happy for her to fulfill one of her bucket list things and basically cover the costs. And I think only from memory, 15 or 20% of whatever donations come in go through the Give a Little page, go towards the equipment stuff to do the trip. The 80% goes to the Alzheimer's Trust. You know, I'm not looking at recouping all of it by any means. It's just never going to happen, but whatever does come in certainly helps. Sheldon, wafts in New Zealand on trailers here aren't checked carefully enough. They really, really, really aren't, Sheldon. I had a boat trailer come in a few weeks after it had a warrant, and it had passed, obviously. And the brake pads, the backing plate of the brake pads, the steel backing plate, had completely rusted away. Just absolute. It was never ever going to work, and it hadn't been working for years, and they still passed it. And it needed wheel bearings, it needed all sorts of stuff. We got it all fixed up, and the guy's like, "How much?" It's just passed a warrant. I says, "Well, it shouldn't have passed the warrant. It was atrocious." I think it came in for some welding on the chassis as well that they'd missed. It was a long time ago. Sheldon, Jacob, do a cylinder leak down test. Can use a smashed up spark plug, weld in a tube and an airline coupling. You can. That's right. I use a blowdown gun. I don't have a leak down tester, right? I just use a blowdown gun so I can modulate the pressure, and I couple that with a couple of hose clamps to my compression tester pipe that fits the threads. Obviously take out the little Schrader valve and you're good to go. And it's amazing what you can find with that. Make sure you've got your TDC on the compression stroke, so all the valves are shut, and you got to hold the crankshaft in place because it's going to want to push that piston back down, right? Simon, coffee and free service on the bike, lol. Sounds a good. It'll be due a service. It really will. Jacob Vaughan, good idea. Thanks. Really can't be bothered pulling it apart again. Looks like I'll have to. You will. You're going to have to pull it apart again. You've done it once. It'll be twice as easy the second time around. Pie. Good man. I need reminding. So we have the pie. Mrs. Mechanic's written on there. Oh, okay. So it's a steak and cheese. It's from Butte Bakery by the looks of it. I was going to say Beast Bakery, but Butte's Bakery, she's written on there. $5.90. And we've already got a score for the pie server attractiveness, which is excellent. Right, here we go. Let's get it in the pie warmer. I've got a lot to do today, so I keep waffling. So there's the pie. Quick scan round. Lid looks pretty good. They've got some cuts in there. Obviously for identification, they tend to do different styles on the lids. That might be a problem. It might cause the pie to break open. We've seen that before. Bonding between lid and base is not bad. I think there's puff pastry again on top, so the bench should be covered. Base, pretty good actually. It's quite solid. Okay, to the pie warmer. 3, 2, 1, boom! Okay, here we go. Don't fall off your stool, Andy. Right, there we go. Right, get the focus. Close the door. Right, dum 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 dum. Dum dum dum. Oh, we've got something in the way. Hang on, we'll put this in first. Stick him in there. Obligatory 23 minutes. Get rid of that. Nice. Make my pie hot. No, it's not being cleaned. Look at the state of that door. Sheldon, is your pie warmer as badly uncleaned as that? I bet it is. Monkey! Okay, back to the bench. Oh, parcel. Let's do a parcel. I'll grab the parcel. I have no idea what's in here. I'll have to go over here. I've got to tidy up. Give me a second. I need to put things in the box. Headsets. Put them in there. I'm really looking forward to getting those headsets working. Actually, it should be a lot of fun. An awful lot of fun. We'll stick them over there. We'll stick the instructions out there. Look. Okay. Let's go and get the big tripod because you're too low on this one. Just take it out of this one. There we go. Oh, I ran out. One of my tripod clamps broke while I was filming. My phone nearly fell on the floor. This one, I've had to renew it. This is, well, I haven't. I've stolen it off something else. My remote live stream tripod. You know, when I'm out on the road, so I haven't got a clamp for my phone at the moment. So I need to get another one. They're really good. These ones, though. They're spring loaded. and they fold up. Pretty cool. Anyway, there you go. Just a bit of background stuff. Okay, get you set up. Going down. Look at that. That bike looks mint with those bush guards on. Okay, there we go. We can do it from there, can't we? Tell me if we're going out of shot. Although, to be fair, I can't. If I turn that around, I can probably see what's going on. Just stick that on charge. Okay. We're going in. This is from Jim Haynes, top bloke from the US of A. I just don't know what's in here, so it's a surprise for all of us. Are we on? Can you see? You can see. Look at that. Now, Jim, a long time ago, sent me another parcel, and there was some tools in it, which I use. I use the ratchets all the time. They're really good. Okay, there we go. Oh my word, what is this? It's very heavy, by the way, this is the parcel. It's costing quite a lot of money to send it over, so I feel very privileged. Dum 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 dum. Right, anything else in the box? No, that's the box done. We'll stick the box over there. I do like to try and keep the boxes believe it or not. Right, we have a note. Here we go. I think you can see this. So, are we on camera? We are. Not sure any other Astro Big Nasties in New Zealand. Oh my word. But there is one now. P.S. I did try it to be sure it works before sending it across the globe. Jim Haynes. The Gap guy is new old stock from the 70s. Oh, hang on. Sorry, no, that's wrong. I read that wrong. The gap gauge is new old stock from the gap gauge, right? Okay. Here we go. We've got some stuff in here. Look at this. Wow. I've been trying to hunt one of these down for ages. I keep forgetting, and then I look again. All right, this is awesome. Jim, you are the man. Absolutely. Oh, it's got all the tools, look. Getting the ball joints off. And chisels. Oh, mate. Absolutely. It's got the hammer as well. This is brilliant. Can't wait to get this thing in action. We've got plenty of air now with all the air compressors we have. Look at that. That is a monster. Very, very cool. God, it feels so good. Feel dangerous with that. I can really destroy stuff. Bloody good, Jim. I'm not going to fire it up today because the air compressor's not on at the moment, and it's quite early for the neighbours. Mind you, saying that, they're always cutting the grass first thing in the morning, so that is absolutely brilliant. I really, really appreciate that. Can you all see that? Okay, look at this. Give you another look before we move on. What a piece of kit that is. Hey, look at the bore. Oh, Ben's gonna have a field day when he comes down to use that, I tell you. Bloody good. Jim, thank you very much indeed. You are the man. Right, now let's just be careful we've not missed anything because I am terrible. Right, here we go. Yes, right. Oh, look at this. Spark plug gap tool from the 70s. Still in its packaging. Oh man, do I dare take it out of the packaging? That is, I've never seen one of these. That is very, very cool. Fast, accurate spark plug service. Holy moly, Jim, that's a proper piece of kit, is that? So I've never seen one of these over here, and I don't ever remember seeing one in the UK either. Maybe it was just a US thing, I don't know. Made in the US of A. So maybe these are only available in the States. That is awesome. Again, thank you very much. I will treasure that. I really, really will. Very cool. Very, very cool indeed. Right. Get rid of the packaging. Try and keep the workshop reasonably tidy because I'm doing wiring this morning. So, you know, need a nice clean bench. That's gonna have to go off the, but that's gonna, I bet this is gonna go in the glass cabinet over there because that is just phenomenal. Very much like that. And I always keep the letters. I do. Always. I've got a box full of letters. Right. Back to the bench. Here we go. Cheers, Jim. Turn you around. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Okay, here we go. Back to the comments. Phenomenal. Terrible camera work, Andy, as always. Live stream camera work's very, very difficult. Because, you know, you can't, like, press stop and start. That pie's already molting. There we go. That'll work. No cap today, by the way. It's going to get hot today, so I'm not going to bother wearing a cap. Right, where do we get to? Oh, my word. So for James, thank you for the reminder on the pie. Appreciate that. Simon, got your feeler gauges in the tool bag. Sure you will do 600 miles quite quickly. Yeah, I will have feeler gauges with me, don't worry. Your caliper pin tool is now in Auckland. Bloody hell. That means it's going to be sat at the PO box for probably about a month before we get back until we get back from the trip. But that's all right. They're very good up there, actually. They hold on to stuff for me. They know that I travel all over New Zealand and I only periodically go to Auckland and stuff. They know that I can't just pop down straight away. Simon, Jim is a legend. Jim is an absolute legend. Thank you again, Jim. Really, I'm totally blown away by that, to be honest. Very, very generous, and that will have pride of place in my workshop. It really, really will. I'm going to treasure that, and I'm going to look after it a lot. Polish it, I think. George Bonnie 90, you got a big nasty. That's awesome. I have. I'm in that inner circle, you know. Erico, Andy Mechanic, big nasties. They're cool. They're really cool. I'll have to do a post on that one. I will. Jim Haynes, I'm finally here, running late. We were dynoing a sprint car engine. Wow. Can you hear me? Did you have earmuffs? I hope you had earmuffs on when you were doing the dyno, because man, it gets really, really noisy in there. It does. Dum 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 dum. Very good. So on the dyno, Jim, did you get the outcome you wanted? I mean, obviously, you know, usually when were you diagnosing a fault, or were you just tuning it, or changing the tune for a particular track? Who knows? Or was it to do with scrutineering? You know, was that the reason why you were dynoing? Tell me, I'm interested. And thank you again, sir. Really, really appreciate it. George Body 90, very nice, Jim. Big thumbs up. Al Alish, watching you from a plane heading for Raleigh, North Carolina. So you can watch a live stream on a plane. You can't do that here in New Zealand. They don't allow any kind of Wi-Fi service. Or they didn't last time I flew. I mean, things might have changed a bit now. But it's like, no, turn off your electrical devices. We might crash. Okay. Nobody does, obviously. They're all still use it, you know, most of them. In fact, you can tell because the dumb ones don't put them on flight mode. They leave them on normal, but they don't turn the sound off. So you can hear, you know, we're flying around and there's this blink, 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 all these messages coming through, and it's like, oh yeah, very good. Jim K, Godspeed, Andy and Mrs. Thank you, Jim. It's gonna be a mission. It really is. JJ, hit the big thumbs up button, peeps. It looks a bit like that, so hit that. Thanks, JJ. Jim Haynes, I know you wanted one from a live stream a while ago, but the China virus was hard on the bank account. They're not cheap. They're not cheap at all, Jim. And I really am quite taken back by your generosity. So again, thank you very much. It really is much appreciated. Yeah, the last couple of years, it's been a weird time. It really has. You know, finances have been up and down. Work's been up and down. almost sort of lost the rhythm of life. It sounds a bit dramatic, doesn't it? But prior to that, you just get on with stuff, and everything seems to sort of flow in a reasonable pace. At least for me, it did. And post that 2-year period, it's just hectic. It really is. And I think in general, people have changed a little bit. Hard to describe how they've changed. I mean, maybe a little bit less tolerant, maybe a little bit less bothered. Sort of lost that. I don't know. Some people that I've met post that I normally deal with, just not quite hitting the mark anymore. Not really putting the effort in. Just bumbling along. And makes things difficult, makes it hard. And then when you push it, you end up in an argument. And I don't like arguments because I usually win them. I don't like them because it tends to, well, it just kills that working relationship, doesn't it? It sets you back for a very long time. People seem to want, especially customers, seem to want a lot for nothing these days. More so than before the 2-year period. And trying to meet their expectations and give them what they really want before was difficult. Now it's often downright impossible. They're just not seeing the wood for the trees. They just seem to think regardless, it's somebody else's problem and they need it fixed yesterday. And often that's not possible. So sometimes I find myself, I have to step back and just contemplate, think about it. Say, if it's an email, whatever it is, my reply, and stick to your guns, just, yeah. It's easy to get, wrapped up in a very in-depth kind of discussion, conversation where it doesn't need to be. This is how it is. This is what I can do for you. I can't do any more. This is not a negotiation. This is an offer. That's it. Take it or leave it. And people seem to get very grumpy when you like that with them. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Is it just me? Maybe I'm just hard to deal with. I don't think I am. But my own personal impression of how I am as a person could be a million miles from the way I am. I don't know. I try to help people as much as I can, but not often, but sometimes it bites you in the ass, doesn't it? Give them an inch, take a mile. Won't stand for that. So, Jim, I don't know how we got onto that, but thank you again very much. Really, really appreciate it. And I will treasure that tool for forever. It will never leave my sight. It'll always be here. It'll be part of the arsenal, literally, of this workshop. Jeff Corey, hey from southern Florida. Good morning, Jeff. Welcome to the workshop, sir. We've got 31 people. It's getting quite crowded in here. I mean, if I had 500 or 600 viewers on a live stream all at once, we'd have to be in the garden. There wouldn't be enough room for you all in here. I mean, you'd probably get maybe in here, I don't know. It'd be pretty cozy with 50 people in here, wouldn't it? To be honest. Jim Haynes. Oh, checking flat tappet cams versus roller power-wise. In case someday our sanction has to change to roller cams. Interesting. Front-footing it. That's good to see. Al Elish. I wish closed captions worked. Can't hear a damn thing reading your lips. Ah, you're on the plane, aren't you? That's a shame. You have to get some of those little Bluetooth headphone things. That helps. Simon. Mr. Rawl. Don't know if you get your bike oil in wine-type boxes in New Zealand. No, we don't. Not what I buy. I've not seen that style of packaging. Like we do here in the UK now. Was doing a service today, thinking they need a tap bag to make it better than using a funnel. Oh yes. Well, we get the wine in the boxes, which has the little tap on it. Why not do the same thing with the oil? That'd be a really good idea. So how is the oil? Is it like a little spout thing that you pull out the top of the box rather than the tap? I've never seen that, so I don't quite know how it's constructed, but I imagine it's got like a little undoey cap, and then you pull the plastic thing up to turn it into a spout. Pull a little ring pull thing out of it. That's how I'm assuming it's set up. Jade Hedges was really good to deal with you when I was at Philco. Thank you, Jade. No, I appreciate that. I don't always get back to people straight away. It's difficult because I'm being pulled in many different directions. But hey, we've got a thingamajig. What's going on here? Oh, Simon. Simon sent me some pictures. Good man. There we go. I'll just let them download for a minute because that phone's doing the laptop, so it's a bit slow. Everything's slow. Hang on. Jade, pewter line from White's 20 litres. Are they in a wine type box? I've never seen that. There you go. We do. Thanks, Jade. Simon Rule, we'll send you some photos. You have. Look at that. There you go. Wow. There you go, people. Wine, oil, engine oil in the UK comes in a cardboard box, and there's the lids. I was right. The lid's right at the top, opens up like a normal can, but obviously it's cardboard with what we'd call a goon sack. I don't think that's derogatory to anybody, but yes, the little wine bags, they call them goon sacks over here for some reason. I don't know why. Very good. Yes, I see. Oh, so it doesn't have a ring pull then. Right, so you just undo the cap and away you go. Good to go. Wow, silk clean. It's got a QR code on as well. Bloody hell. Probably the QR code's there to explain to you how to open the box. Maybe. Don't know. Ooh, Super Force semi-synthetic 10W40. Nice. Good gear. Good gear indeed. Thanks for the photos, Simon. See, a photo just explains everything. I know exactly what you're on about now. Where do we get to? Jim Haynes. Where I live is 95% white collar and still don't go to the offices, which has meant a lot of small businesses have failed and big ones got bigger. Wow. So a lot of people are still working from home. Is that what you're saying? Most bizarre, it really is. We had a very, very strict policy change. I mean, I do work from home, don't get me wrong, but I mean, things have changed a bit at work, but you are expected to go into head office on a regular basis. And if you're a desk job person, then you at your desk, right? Yeah, there's a lot of small companies here in New Zealand have folded. A lot of small companies. It's been very, very hard for them. Was it 40? Something like 40,000 small businesses closed. Somebody was saying weeks ago. Maybe I've got it wrong, but it was astronomical number. Roger Heaps, how's the Jimny go with bigger wheels? Well, Mrs. Mechanic took the Jimny for a wheel alignment, which is only the front axle, really. To be fair, it's only the toe tracking. So I said to her, "You have to drive to Taupo, and it's a bit wandery." And she's like, "You're not kidding." When she got there, she's like, "Man, it was all over the road." So she went nice and steady, took her time getting there. And she's done a post on her Facebook for the Just a Fish thing about the company that did the wheel alignment for her. They were really cool. Charged her $100, which is a lot less than it would normally be. You'd usually pay $100 just for a wheel alignment. And they also balanced all 7 wheels. And they used a finger plate to balance the wheels because they're a steel 4x4 rim. They're a stud mounted rim. They have to be balanced using what I call a finger plate. You can't use a cone. The number of places in New Zealand that use cones, right, on the wheel balancer to balance stud-mounted rims, and then they charge you because they balance the wheel, and mate, you haven't balanced the wheel. It's not balanced. I know it says 0-0 on the machine, but the wheel's not balanced. Don't get me started on this. But the number of places, and we're talking, Bridgestone, big, well-known professional tire outlets don't have the right equipment to balance 4-wheel drive wheels. And you explain to them, you need a finger plate. I used to have one for my wheel balancer. You know, we ran our vehicles mainly off-road, and it was expensive, but we paid for it, and we got it, and we had the right gear. And I don't have it anymore because I left it in England because I'm an idiot. But they just won't spend the money. And customers see the weights on the wheel and assume that the wheel's balanced, right? But now the wheel alignment's done and the wheels are balanced, Mrs. Mechanic said it's a lot better. It's still a little bit like driving the old SJs where it sort of bounces down the road, but that's just because the suspension hasn't bedded in. Yeah, but it's cool. It's gonna, by the time we finish the trip, man, it'll handle just right. It'll be all good. Jim Haynes, we have 6-gallon boxes with spits made in. Spits. Oh. Simon, if that had a tap for the box, how much better would it be? It would be perfect. It'd be so much easier, wouldn't it? You could just hold the box over the bike and there you go. Putting some oil in, job done. You know, great idea. You should contact them, customer services, and give them a recommendation. Oh, here we go. Mrs. Mechanics told us. I'm giving them a shout out. Here we are. I've got a text now. Mrs. Mechanics listening. Oh, just reminded me. Somebody on the planet is trying to extract money from my bank account. I keep getting texts with codes for transactions. You know, the code is there as like a security thing that you put in during the transaction. And so far, they've been successful in extracting one amount of money from my account. I am not happy. So I've emptied the account and transferred it somewhere else. They're not having any more. I've got to ring the bank tomorrow. Unbelievable what goes on, isn't it? Jeez. Sorry. So the company in Taupo that did the wheel balance, Mrs. Mechanic, and all 7 wheels got balanced. Terry's Tires. A guy called Mike Wilson. Thank you, Mike. Really, really appreciate it. You know, every little bit we save goes back in the pot, and it's fantastic to have this kind of support. Pretty much everybody we've spoken to about the trip and, you know, being involved in a purchase, something that we need to do the trip, they've always come to the table and either, I mean, some have even donated, like Senna, which was like, wow, really, that much, honestly. Others drastically reduced price, which has been a huge help. With spout. There we go. So they've got boxes with spouts made in. Thank you. Right. Jim, yes, 48% here are home still. 48% of people still working from home. I would say here in New Zealand, we're pretty much back to normal. Some companies have adopted the work from home policy a little bit more. Maybe on Fridays you work from home if you're office bound during the week. But in the main, it's all back to normal. We just get on with life. And yeah, there's little flare-ups here and there, but you just don't hear about it anymore. You just deal with it. And to be perfectly honest, I don't even think about it anymore. I just don't. It just doesn't even cross my mind. You know, like I said, right from the start, when the whole thing started, I was telling Mrs. Mechanic, and I'm sure I mentioned it in a live stream. As humans, we adapt to risk. It's what we do. So you're a deep sea diver, you go welding down there or whatever it is under the oil rigs and things. The first day you go down, you're shitting bricks. 2 or 3 years down the line, you've got used to it. It's just what you do. And it's the same goes when, you know, with this particular problem around the world, that we've all just sort of, or most of us, just sort of got used to it. And it's just the way of life, and we just get on with it. We can't allow it to hold us back. You know, otherwise, what's life all about? And there's risks every single day, and that's just another one we have to deal with. Purple Monkey 1974, will you keep the large wheels after the trip, or return to the, to get a better road handling? No, we will definitely just keep the larger wheels on the little Jimny. We've got a bull bar coming. It's a bit bouncy at the front end because it's got the heavy duty springs at the front in readiness for bull bar and winch to go on. So at the moment it hasn't got that on, so she's a little bit nose high and a little bit hard sprung at the front, but that's okay. We can get around that, you know. It's still drivable. But no, there's a roof rack coming for it from Trailcom. They've said we can have a roof rack. They want to put a roof rack on the vehicle. Obviously, it won't be on the trip. It's too late for that. And there's a bull bar coming out of Australia for it to take a winch. And I said, well, I'll have a black one, please. And it needs to be a bull bar that will take the largest possible winch we can fit to the front of that chimney. Probably a 12,000 pound winch, which I know is massive overkill. But, you know, when you're stuck out in the bush, that's a Kiwi thing. When you're stuck out in the wilderness, you know, bigger, better, right? It's on top of the job. Obviously, I'll have to fit twin batteries to it and a charging system, all that kind of stuff. But that's the plan. That's the plan. And once it's got all that on, I mean, you know, I mean, the Safari's got a 16,000 pound winch on the front of it, and the bull bar is ridiculously heavy. It's got an Old Man Emu kit on it, and it handles just fine. I mean, I used to throw that thing around pretty well for a big truck. It did well. It didn't often lift a wheel. You know, it was pretty planted, was that machine. But again, it only had a 50mm lift on it, so it was good piece of kit. Unfortunately, it'll never go back on the road. It's way too rusty now for that. But I'll never sell it. It's got a lot of memories as that truck. It did me proud, did that machine. The Giants, please be careful. They emptied my girlfriend's bank account, which takes forever to investigate. Yeah, I mean, they've taken a chunk, not a huge amount, but they've taken a bit. And I've got to report that. I mean, I might even try and ring the banks today because it's got an 0800 number on there. So hopefully we can put a stop to it. The biggest problem for me is that's the account that I'm supposed to be using to pay for everything for this next trip. So of course, the first thing they'll do is cancel the card, right? And then I'm going to have to, I don't know, we'll work something out. But it's just bad timing. And it's the first time it's happened to me for a long time. So rather annoying. Jim Haynes, the problem I have is the governments have picked winners and losers when they closed businesses and had way too much power. I think you could be right, Jim. I think you could. I didn't really get too involved with it. I was way too focused on my own stuff. There was plenty to do. I think the pie's just gone ping. So we'll give it a minute. And then we will crack on with the old pie review. Oh, there's been some more earthquakes. Cool. If you're interested in the route or the current state of the roads here in New Zealand, if you Google road closures NZ, it brings up a government website and you get a map of New Zealand. And you can, if you turn on all road restrictions rather than just road closures, and you start to look up north where we're heading tomorrow to Kaitaia, the majority of main roads are either fully closed or Mr. Mouse, or got heavy restrictions on them, delays. Some roads are closed in one direction. So I was joking with Mrs. Mechanic because State Highway 1 has got a couple of sections which you can only go northbound, but you can't come back. So obviously all the cars are getting to Kaitaia and then just getting parked up because you can't get back out again, right? So, but there's lots of gravel road. There's a huge gravel road network up there as well, and none of that's covered on that map. So we're going to be cherry picking our way through, probably to get up as well as get back down again. So I think tomorrow there's going to be quite a lot of gravel road driving just to get to Kaitaia to try and bypass all these problems that are up there. But yeah, it's called Road Closures NZ, I think it is, or Roads Closed New Zealand, and it brings up that website. Jim K, how's your brake wiring going? I haven't even started yet, Jim. Today's the day. I'm going to do a video on it, right? So it shouldn't take too long. I've allowed half a day to do it. I know, probably take about 6 hours knowing me. But that's first job, and then I've got to go straight across onto the headsets and get those done. The headsets will be fun to do. The wiring, it's not hard, but it needs to be done. I want to do a good job doing it. So again, I'm probably going to revert back to it just needs to work for now. But yeah, we'll see. Worst case scenario, the wiring doesn't get done, and I just put the light board on the back of the trailer. It'll look crap, but it would still be legal. So the trailer wouldn't have any brakes, obviously, which is a bit of an issue. Jim K, I'm here if you need any tech support. Thanks, Jim. I might well be giving you a call later on. Simon, Had one of them scam phone calls. Asked him to lend me a tenner, as it's been a bad month. Hung up on me. Do love one. Excellent, mate. I like it. I remember that one. Jim Haynes, did you ever hear back from your editor or gone? Can't get hold of him. He's got my hard drive. He's got, I mean, luckily I've got a copy of all the rushes here. But yeah, I know where he lives. So maybe next time I'm down that way, I'll pop around. Very strange. Really weird why is, I mean, it's not, you know, he runs a company. He does a lot of filming and that's his income and stuff. So why he would go to ground, I don't know. I really don't know. It seems bizarre. But I'll keep chasing it. Very odd, isn't it, Jim? Really? I don't know what's going on. I'll try and give him a call tomorrow when I'm driving up north. Right, let's go get the pie. 3, 2, 1, boom. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Oh. Dum 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 dum. Dum dum dum. Getting hungry now. Ooh, look at that golden brown pastry. Nice. It's also quite hot. Jeez, burning my fingers. It's all right. I get used to picking up hot bits of metal. There we go. Lovely jubbly. Right, turn you around. There we go. Okay. That'll work. Nice calendar, isn't it? Warms the cockles in the morning. Okay. Quick scan around the pie. Just starting to lift around this area here on the lid. We've got a bit of a crack going on down there as well. So the glue's failing. Whatever it is that they use. Is it egg white or something? I don't know. Probably not these days. Base. Pretty good. Pretty solid. Lid. Oh, those little lines, the cuts haven't really affected the structural integrity, so we're good there. Okay. I really have to finish the live stream by 10 o'clock, so we've got 18 minutes, which is ample time for this. Ample time. Assuming it's not going to be too hot. It does feel quite warm. I'm going in. It's right on the limit. It really is. That really was basically a mouthful of pastry. There you go. Look, didn't really get any meat on that one. I hate puff pastry, honestly. It just goes absolutely everywhere. And I really don't want to burn my mouth. I hate burning my mouth. I'm always too eager to eat the pies. So, schedule for the trip, just to fill you in while we're munching our way through this. We go up on Monday. We're going to, the plan is to get, to start the trip around lunchtime, about noon. Get ourselves onto the beach by about 2 o'clock latest. We've spoken to the lifeguard, the Coast Guard, sorry, and low tide is about 4:30 on Tuesday in that area. So they've said, look, you should be able to set off down the beach by 2 p.m, which will give us an extra couple of hours. Because when I did it on the DR, we set off at low tide, which was dumb because, of course, as soon as you get going, the tide's starting to come in, isn't it? What else have we got? Nope, nothing important. That's good. Because I think Mrs. Mechanic's going to be a lot slower going down the beach. It's not 90 miles long. It's actually about 68 miles, but it's still a very long way on the beach. And there's a few streams that come in, which are pretty dodgy to get through sometimes. They've had a lot of rain up there recently. And what tends to happen is it cuts through the sand and leaves quite a big step to get out. So she might have problems with the little wheels on the bike getting over that step. We might have to, you know, kick it down a bit and make a little bit of a ramp for her to get through. And the water might be too deep, you know. I mean, the poor little monkey bike is not very high off the ground. It's going to look pretty deep, you know, even if it's shallow, it's still going to be deep for that bike. So Tuesday, we should get 90 Mile Beach done and a couple of gravel roads heading south. And then we're going to work our way down. We're probably going to sneak through home. You know, we're going to call in at home for a short time because there's bound to be something we've forgotten or need to fix. And then we've got to be down to Wellington. And we're doing, you know, obviously gravel roads as much as we possibly can all the way down. She's not allowed on tarmac, I've told her that. We've got to be in Wellington or just outside Wellington for the Tuesday night the following week. And the ferry leaves on the Wednesday. And we can't change that. There's no way we can get on an earlier ferry. We might be able to push it later, but if we do, we're going to lose days in the South Island. I think she's got one extra day in the South Island ride time than she has North Island. And that's pushing it, to be honest. It's going to be, we are going to be against the clock. We set out on this one to give ourselves 3 weeks to do the trip. And we've sort of lost a couple of days, unfortunately. So it's just cranking up the pressure a little bit. She's probably going to be riding at least 8 hours a day, probably more like 10 hours a day. It all depends how quick she gets. But she's not very confident on gravel at all at the moment, is Mrs. Mechanic. Doesn't like gravel roads. Hates me for telling her she's going on gravel, but to do it on tarmac is boring. You know, you've got to do it off road. It's more fun that way. Wow, that was hot. Okay, so we're going to need to crack on. For those that have just joined us, and there's always one or two, this is a steak and cheese from Butte Bakery, and it cost $5.90. That was the time when I had any money in my account. Funny. So taste stroke flavour. It's not bad. It has got some reasonably large chunks of meat in there. Look at that. That's actually quite impressive. Mrs. Mechanic had a chicken pie yesterday, and it said 14% chicken on the packaging, and I'm not kidding. There was no chicken in it. It might have been chicken flavour, but it wasn't a chicken pie. It was crap. That was an Irvin's. It was absolute rubbish. Right. A bit of meat. It's all right. I'm going to give it a 7 for flavour. It's pretty much a run-of-the-mill kind of bakery pie as this for New Zealand. It's sort of, you know, the standard, the average, really, from the flavouring side of it. That was good. That was a good chunk of meat. That was really good. I'm going to give it a 9 for the meat. Just jumping ahead a little bit. That was really good. And the cheese, proper cheese. Look at the cheese up there, look. Right in the middle. It's like cheddar cheese. It's good. Okay. We can do the runnability test now. So that's 45 degrees, 30 seconds max. Going straight in there. There you are, look, 45 degrees. Have we got any movement? It's still pretty hot in there. So this, as a pie cools down, it tends to get less running, you know. Things tend to move around, less viscous. But saying that, this is actually bang on. There's nothing, there's no movement, nothing. So it gets 10. Or am I saying that the cheese has moved a little bit? Look, cheese has come down a bit, but it's nowhere near falling out. So we'll give it 10. We'll give it 10 for the runnability. Structure Foley Partners. The base is starting to crack up down here. And my thumb's starting to go through, so I'm just going to move my fingers around a bit and choose a different bit to hold on to support the pie. Good pie management. See, more meat. It's good. It's good. Actually, I'm going to increase the taste stroke flavour. I'm going to put it up. I'm going to put it to a 9. I think it's actually quite tasty. This is definitely above average for a bakery now. Look at that. It's good. Now, I believe this bakery makes their own pies on site, so that's an important factor to take into account later on. So pie to crust ratios. This is contents to the amount of pastry. And if you look around, the pastry is reasonably thin all around the base. And even the corners are probably about average. You tend to get some pies have big, big bands of pastry in this area on the cross section. And this one doesn't really have that. It's not bad at all, especially if you look on this side here, look. You couldn't really ask for much less than that, in all honesty. Even the lid's quite thin, you know? So there's a lot of contents for a small pie and not a huge amount of pastry, which is a good thing. It's the contents that you're after. So pie to crust ratio, I'm going to give it, man, I'm going to give it a 9. That's good. I'm going to give it a 9. It's a 9 day today. Now, availability logistics. One bakery, make their own pies. You can't buy them online. Get 1 out of 10. That's it. You've got to go to the, doesn't matter where you are in New Zealand, or it doesn't matter where you are in the world. Oh, pardon me. Remember that? One burp. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you want one of these pies, you have to go to Butte Bakery. That's it. No other option. You've got to go there. And I mean, you know, it could be a long way. You might be in London and go, oh, I really need a Butte Bakery pie. Got to get on a plane, you know? That's a bit of an inconvenience. So 1 out of 10. Pastry taste rating. Okay, well, I can probably snick this bit off. Oh my word, that was a much bigger piece than I planned. It's mainly pastry. It's a little bit dry. It's a little bit dry, to be honest, is the pastry, but it's not bad. It's not flavored anyway. There's no seasoning on it, anything like that. It's just pastry. Pretty standard. I'm give it a 5. I give it a 5 for the pastry. Pastry is not, it's not great, but the overall taste experience, great. Nom nom. Right, packaging design. It's just a paper bag, right? It was a plain, look at the grease. You see, if you put that pie on your passenger seat, you'd have a grease stain on the seat. Pretty greasy. And that's not a good thing, by the way. Grease stains on the passenger seat, you know, it might not be a grease stain. It's just a stain, right? And people might read into that. So you've got to be careful. I always put my pies in the footwell on the rubber mat. Good tip. So packaging design, they only get a 1. They just went, we'll just use a paper bag, which is pretty common for standalone bakeries. They don't spend any kind of money on branding of the packaging. Just the way it is. Recyclable score, however, it's a paper bag. It's not plastic line or anything like that. But it's got nothing on there to say it's recyclable, so there's 1 mark. So 9 out of 10 for that. We've done this 100 times now. Post-pie heartburn factor. We've had 1 burp already. I'm hoping that it's not going to bite me in the ass later on, because I need to be in the workshop doing stuff, you know, not drinking Gaviscon all day long. So we're still structure fully part of this. It's not perfect. It's not. We've got quite a few cracks around the base here. My thumb nearly went through it. Yeah, it's still stable, but we've had better. So, and of course we've got puff pastry all over the place. 7 or an 8? I'll give it an 8 for now. If it falls apart anymore, then we'll downgrade that a bit. Okay. Pie server attractiveness. Just jumping to the bottom. Mrs. Mechanic did that for us. She gave the young lady 7 out of 10. Very nice. Very nice indeed. Good job. And it's not just about their appearance. It's about how you feel welcome when you go into the store, that kind of stuff. So Mrs. Mechanic's very good at scoring that kind of stuff. 7 out of 10 it is. Right, so I'm going to keep going. It's a bit lively, this pie. It's just starting. You can see there, look, you see it's obviously just opening up. There's a bit going on. You see there, look. See how the pastry just cracks open? That could catch you out. You know, if you're having a conversation with somebody eating your pie, and you're not really focused on your pie itself, You could have a problem with this one. The base is all crazy paved now. Look, it's all cracks all over the base. So any second, the contents could suddenly lurch out all down your shirt and tie. Not good. See that, look? It's all becoming a bit falling apart. I'm tempted to knock that down to a 7 already, actually. It doesn't justify an 8. We're going to go down to a 7. And if it gets any worse, it's going to be a 6. Wow! Look at that. That was a massive chunk of meat. Absolute monster. Look, it's just taken a huge void in the pie now. And it was pretty hot. But it was tasty. It was good. Meat quality 9. I'll stand by that. That was really good. It's just meat stacked on meat. Another big chunk there, look. I would definitely buy pies from this place again. This is tasty. And hot. Okay, next one. Still tasty when cold. It's still pretty hot, so I'm going to have to take an educated guess on this one. The cheese tastes great. It's real cheese in there. As far as I can tell, it tastes really good. Processed cheese tends not to taste really good. The meat, excellent quality. The gravy's quite tasty. Would it be tasty when it's cold? I think it would be. This is the kind of pie, and you know, this is only my personal experience, right? I'm not recommending you do it for obvious reasons, but it's the kind of pie that I would potentially put in my glove box if I had to abort pie eating mission. And 3 days later, I would still eat that pie. I would. It wouldn't bother me. It wouldn't faze me in the slightest, and I reckon it would taste pretty good. So, still tasty when cold? I think it would be, because the cheese is nice, the meat's good, the pastry's not, I mean, there's a lot of grease in the bag, but the pastry itself doesn't taste greasy, so whatever there was is obviously leached out. And I think when it's cold, potentially the pie could be a little bit more stable as well, so your structural integrity will be slightly better. I reckon it will be. I'm going to give it an 8. I think it was pretty good. That was the second burp. So, post-pie heartburn, we have 2 burps so far. It's just starting to feel a little bit on the heavy side. So we're down to 8 for that. Oh my word, we're nearly out of time. Stuffability score. I don't know. I haven't finished it. Let's crack on. This is a good pie. I think if you ate one of these, you would not leave you unhappy at all. You'd be a happy chap by the time you've eaten this pie. You'd be content. This pie does exactly what this pie was designed to do. Satisfy. I mean, it hasn't got all the bells and whistles, right? It hasn't got, you know, seasoning on the top. It hasn't got some bespoke rare cheese in there. It hasn't got the meat from a particular animal that was grass-fed on the mountains down in the South Island. But it's all right. This is like your daily go-to pie. That's how it feels to me. I would happily say, putting aside the logistics side of things, that pie, from a taste perspective and a feel-good factor and a satisfaction factor, is better than the Wild Bean Cafe gourmet steak and cheese. Which, incidentally, I don't think they're quite as good as they used to be. And I went to one service station recently on the State Highway 1, the biggest road in New Zealand. Big service station. And I'm at the pie one looking around going, where's the gourmet steak and cheese? I mean, I spotted the pepper steak. the gourmet pepper steak, which is almost always my plan B if they've run out. But there wasn't even a little name tag. There wasn't even a little slot for gourmet steak and cheese. So I said to the girl, I said, "Where's your gourmet steak and cheese gone?" "Oh, we've stopped doing those." "What?" "Oh, no, just stop doing them at this site." "Why?" And she didn't know why. So I went for the pepper steak. But yeah, I was bewildered. I would expect the gourmet steak and cheese to be one of the top selling pies. I mean, often they're the ones that they've run out of. So there should be a pretty high demand for them. Anyway, stuffability score did the trick. Now, if I was overstuffed, the score would get, points off for that. And if I'm still hungry, get points off for that. If it's bang on and it's just the right amount and I feel content, not hungry anymore, but satisfied from a hunger perspective, it gets 10 out of 10. And for that pie, it hit the nail on the head. Absolutely bang on. Really good contents, good meat. I don't feel hungry anymore, but I don't feel like I've just troughed my way through a massive pie that didn't taste particularly good. Or did taste good, but it was just volume-wise, bang on. 10 out of 10. I like that. That was a good pie. Right, we need to do some sums. Turn you around. 3, 2, 1, boom. Okay. Let me sort the camera out because we're all over the place at the moment. Dum, 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 dum. There we go. So we should have 13 entries. Oh, another burp. You know what? We're going to need to knock that down again. So that's now a 7. Okay. So, have we got 13? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have. All the scores are in. All we have to do is add it up. So, 16, 26, 35, 44, 45, 50, 58, 59, 68, 75, 85, oh my word, 85, 92. That's a pretty good score, 92. Wow. Okay. Now, roll the bag. I always do this, right? I always fold the bag up when I still have to remember where it's from. So was it Butte Bakery? It was, right. Okay, Butte. Steak and cheese, nice. Very tasty as its main point, and it got 92. Wow. Not bad. Not bad. I mean, if you look at the scores, right? All they have to do is a decent, a bag with some kind of printing on it, and they'll get more points. And if they find up a website, like Fat Bastard Pies, you buy it online, they'll ship it across New Zealand. All of a sudden, I mean, this is an easy one, right? This is just a case of, 15 minutes on Photoshop and then go to the printers, get them printed up, and they could be well up to the 8s and 9s on there if it was a nicely presented bag. And that will push them right over the 100 mark. They are so close. Everything to do with the pie itself, high score. Pretty high scores. Very impressed. They need me as a pie consultant. That's what they need. How to boost that score. Okay, 92. 92. Where are we going to end up? Now, Mrs. Mechanics had a bit of a tidy up. She sort of spread them all out a bit, so because it was all getting a bit chaotic. So she's put a lot more on the left-hand door now. And, 86 is the minimum to get on the door that I would even contemplate purchasing a pie. This stuff down here, all these, nah, forget it. Not interested anymore. Okay, so 92. Oh, we have a space. Let's just ease these up a little bit because it's not far off. Man, this cupboard's covered in paint. All that overspray look from when we did the beams years ago, that was. There we go. Perfect. So Butte Bakery, steak and cheese, a well-earned 92. I mean, yes, there's still a reasonable distance away from the top. You know, we've still got a chicken, bacon, and mushroom at the leaderboard when it was really steak and cheese we were supposed to be doing. But anyway, not to worry. But, you know, it doesn't take just a tweak on those marks and they'd be right up there. You know, there's only 5 more marks and you're on the top 10, is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, top 11. Top 11 up there, look. So they're not far off. They just need a little bit more of a push. Right, back to the bench. Time is ticking. It's already 10:05. Holy crap. Okay, quick run through the comments, and then we're going to have to call it a day, people. We really are. My word. Scrolling back. Right, Simon. Simon says, maybe take a scaffolding plank for bigger ditches on the bike. That's a good idea, actually. Or maybe get some waffle boards on the way up. There's a couple of good 4-wheel drive places in Auckland. If we got 2, then the chimney could use them as well, if we need it. One of the biggest problems and one of my main concerns is we have no self-recovery. Oh, that's all over the place, hell. There we go. We have no self-recovery on the chimney at all, and we're towing a trailer that's nearly a ton in weight. That's a bad combination for where we're going, especially if we're on the beach. We have got some 4x4 backup recovery planned for 90 Mile Beach, just in case the chimney can't get off the beach. It's very powdery sand at the southern end. When I was there with the DR, there was a little, I think it was a Daihatsu Sport Track, something like that, or a Suzuki Vitara, one or the other. It's on the video, not that you've seen it though. And he got bogged down and had to get recovered. And he didn't have a trailer on. So I'm going to have to send that little chimney pretty hard through that sand to get through. Sure, we've got better tyres, but we're a lot heavier, a hell of a lot heavier, and we're dragging a trailer behind us. So, I don't know, it's going to be touch and go, it really is. But yeah, ideally we were hoping to have a winch and the bull bar on the front for the trip. That was part of the design brief. It just hasn't happened. For financial reasons, it hasn't happened. And for time reasons, it hasn't happened as well. We're down to 15% on the phone. That's not good. Hang on. Jeez. Holy crap. Bear with me. Whew. We're on charge. Save the live stream, Andy. Okay, what's next? For Giants, are you doing any live streams on the road? Yes, Sunday mornings. I'll be doing a live stream every Sunday morning, assuming we've got internet. If you don't hear from me, either something's happened, so send the cavalry, or we've got no internet. One of those two. If we've got internet and I'm okay, or I can actually physically do a live stream, I'll be doing one. Kill Switch, I'm here if you need beer support. Cheers, mate. Roger Heaps, Big Spar is not working. Oh no! But corner spar in the house available for Mrs. Mechanic's sore body at the end of the run. She's going to be covered in bruises. She really is. That sounds a good idea, Roger. We'll keep you posted. Purple Monkey 1974. How long is the checklist on the things to take? Not to forget. Tools, jerry can, etc. when you leave on Monday. It's all in my head. And we're bound to forget something. But it's all in my head. And as I'm doing my work today, I'm probably going to be brainstorming, and Mrs. Mechanic will be chasing me around, adding things to the list. Hang on a minute. Oh, hang on. We're in trouble now. Mrs. Mechanic, what'd she say? Pie on your face. Oh, yeah, she's right. Look at that. Cool. Cheers, hon. Right. Motorized Alex. What does Motorized Alex have to say? I have a question. My PW80 dirt bike is leaking gas out of the overflow. I decided to try and take the flow out and fixing it, but that didn't fix it. So I bought a new carburetor and it's still doing the same thing. Any idea? Most likely, and I'm only guessing now, the replacement carburetor that you purchased was probably an inferior carburetor made in China and was not the original manufacturer's carburetor. I would suggest I'm not entirely au fait with that particular model's carb. Simon might be able to help here. But often there is an O-ring between the float bowl valve seat and the casting of the aluminium carburetor. And that O-ring often perishes and it gets overlooked when people fix their carbs. Don't play with the float height. It wasn't leaking fuel before, and then it started to leak fuel, and nobody's played with the float height between those two times, most likely. So you shouldn't play with the float height. 9 times out of 10, it's not a float height issue. So most likely, the most common reason for it is either the floats are sticking, or the needle valve, the little seat of the valve itself, a little pin, has worn. So you just get a new pin and a new seat, and away you go. Putting a whole new carb on, yeah. I know carburetors are pretty cheap if you buy one of the cheap ones, but they're just cheap carbs and they tend not to work very well. I have a lot of problems. So I would go back, get your old carb, pull it apart, and look for that. So look to see if it's got one of those O-rings in there. Check the pivot for the valves, for the valve float, and make sure it's not sticking. Make sure your floats haven't got any holes in them as well. But yeah, it's probably a pretty easy fix, to be fair. Simon, the 2 doors are worthy and not worthy pies. What? 2 doors are worthy. Oh, hang on. The 2 doors are the 2 doors on the cabinet are worthy and not worthy pies. There you go. I've said it properly this time. I agree. I absolutely agree. It's a perfect way of putting it. JJ, good luck for the trip. Andy and Mrs. Mechanic, see you when you get back. Hopefully. Simon, no hand winch or snatch blocks. We have nothing. We have nothing at all. However, I do have a network of people around New Zealand that I can ring to say, help. Not that I want to, but Simon, have a fun and safe trip. Cheers, Simon. Appreciate it. See you next Sunday, right? George Bonnie 90. Have a safe trip, sir. Thank you, George Bonnie 90. Really appreciate that. Simon, that's a screw-in seat with a sealing washer on a PW. Thank you very much. There you go. You see, the wealth of wisdom. It's a long time since I did a PW80. We actually bought one when we were at Greenhive in Auckland. No, Glen Eden. Sold it when I was at Greenhive. Bought it when I was at Glen Eden. Yeah. Don't think I ever had to pull the carburetor apart though. It's pretty reliable. Vijayants, have a wonderful trip and be safe waiting for the live streams. Thank you, Vijayants. Yes, I will see you next Sunday. Simon, is your fuel clean? Inline filter. That's right. A little speck of dust or dirt stuck between that float valve. She's going to leak. Scott, good luck, guys. Thank you, Scott. Okay, crew, I've caught up. Thank you again all for watching all the live streams and for your support for the channel, and specifically as well the trip that we're about to do. The trip is to raise funds for Alzheimer's Trust. If you want to support the build, I'm still building, you can do that through PayPal. Not that I'll be transferring the funds into my bank account at the moment because somebody will snaffle it, but anyway, it can sit in PayPal for a little bit. If you want to support the actual trip itself, that's the Alzheimer's Trust. That's done through the Give a Little page. And there's a link in the description of the videos about the bills and stuff. Plus, you'll find Mrs. Mechanic's Facebook, Just a Fish page, I think it is. There's links all over the place. You'll find it. So there you go. That's it. I really, 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 really have to crack on now. I have got a very long day ahead of me. And thanks again. Really appreciate everything you do. Especially just being here, because without viewers, there's no Andy Mechanic YouTube channel, right? See you around, crew. Cheers. Over and out. Oh, hang on. There we go. That's better.